SSL Premier. We're finishing it up here, guys. Solar versus Deer is going to be the last match of the night, and it is the biggest one in my mind. Either of these players could win it coming into this. My money's on Deer, but Solar, you know, the ZVP expert of old, coming back, needs this win. He's on the ropes.
Well, if you look at the head-to-head matchup, Solar does have the lead. Of course, anything can happen, but you know, it feels like Deer is maybe the stronger player just overall right now. Solar, though, kind of has his number in this matchup, especially when you look at their SSL scores. He's just always done a little bit better. Want to give this one to Deer just because I feel like that hype train works, but there's this inverse situation that kind of happens with Deer where you think that maybe he's just right at that point where he's proving himself. He's one of the best Protoss players out there, and then he just like completely lets you drop, and all of your expectations go down.
Whoa.
But this fan vote definitely tells the story of this series. It could go either way.
55 to 54.
It's about as even as it gets.
Pretty much. Very close.
In fact, one
vote
away. Oh my god. The math going on right now. Is there anything we cannot figure out? Truly the geniuses of our time.
These guys are talking so much in the chat, saying like, let me see. Deer's like, hey, let's take it easy. And Solar's like, you know, you're not messing around, right? And Deer's like, ha, 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 no. And then...
Definitely a capo
like,
with that one.
The person, yeah, exactly. The person with the calmest mind, the most comfortable mind is always the scariest, isn't it? And then they start talking about other stuff, like let's go home fast. Whoever's going to win, no matter who it is, let's take the 2-0 victory. These guys just wanting to get into it. Solar saying he needs to practice.
9-pool gas every game. Let's go. All right. Well, it is certainly going to be a close match, not only just the fan vote, haha, but as far as our players go, very, very even. Maybe Deer a little bit higher in the standings, with Solar certainly nipping at his heels. Both need to work on their WCS points as well if they want to make it all the way up there. I'm not sure if Deer is actually in the standings. I haven't checked him out, but Solar certainly wants to make it back to BlizzCon.
Yeah, I think Deer would have to make big moves in multiple leagues to do it. I mean, he's seeing most of his success over here in SSL, just smashing through the fast lane, making a big move towards the end of SSL Challenge Season 1, and now he is on a roll. The only person he's lost to is Classic 0-2, which, again, PvP can get pretty crazy. Very close matches oftentimes in that one, so... it's the only one he's lost. Looking to take another Zerg down. Actually, I'm trying to look. Okay, he's only taken out Bjol. So he's got to face off against Solar now, and then he has to take out Dark the next week.
That is a pretty difficult road ahead of him. Anybody going up against Dark probably has a little bit of a difficult road. But here's the precursor. You can watch Deer versus Solar. Game number 1. Coming up on Ascension to Ire. And we're not just ready to get into that game. I was totally sure they were reaching for it, and indeed, they have found their way over to the button, they have pressed the button, and we are heading into game number 1.
Fly, butterfly, Jin Air.
A little bit too fast there.
Yeah, I rushed that one out. Up in the top left, it's Solar.
Ta-da! There he is, of course, playing for Splice. As he stats play a Super 6 series, the kind of wacky ending earlier. Now it's Solar's turn to see what he can show against his Protoss opponent, Deer. The map is Ascension to Ire, and it's a map that we've seen quite a bit. Definitely becoming one of those tried and true standard maps in the previous map pool. Of course, it's still sticking around here and there, but excited to see what happens here. Very even votes coming in for both of these players, and No more mirrored builds. We saw that in our games earlier today. It's going to be most likely, yeah, there it is, Hatch first from Solar.
And Nexus first from Deer. So no gateway to start. No gateway Nexus core, no gateway Cyber into Nexus. So wanting to rush out that economy as soon as possible on a big map. It's very hard for the Overlords to get over to the natural on this one in due time. So it's pretty nice to throw that down. Cool idea by Deer.
I thought that drone was about to head out on the map to make his fortune in the world and probably a base along with it. No, not going to be any crazy 3 hatches just yet. Definitely want to get that scouting information to see what's up. And here comes the probe. Not fast enough to deny the natural. Could potentially deny a third if there was one on the way, but he's just going to get in here, see the pool timing, and pretty much know how the game has proceeded up until this point. So here's the big question for me. Deer, he's been looking on while he has been playing what feels like a very solid standard style. All these other Protoss players have been mixing in some wacky shenanigans. We've got triple Stargate. We've got proxy DTs. I was watching, I forget what the online tournament was. It had a bunch of Korean players in it, but saw a Disruptor drop versus Zerg. Don't see that all the time. Was not very effective. So there's craziness going on. My point is that Deer has never really succumbed to it. He's always just played straight up and taken his knowledge of the matchup as enough to lead him to victory. And it has been good. His last 2 versus Zergs have gone in his favor. So against Solar here, it looks like he's just going to go for the Stargate. This is, if you want to learn one Protoss build, the Gateway expand into Stargate. This was a Nexus.
It's good in every
first
matchup. Even against Protoss, we saw that tonight out of Hero versus Stats. Saw Hero trying to go for that Stargate early. Had mixed results, but yeah, I mean, Deer's definitely a guy that's practicing so much. He's practicing out of his mind that he's very good at game sense. That's one of the big things that you get from practicing a lot outside of just really solid mechanics and fast play. It's also game sense, knowing what to do in many different situations, especially if you play a lot of ladder. It's like, oh yeah, I've been in this spot where I lost, a couple of probes to Lings, but he didn't scout my Stargate. What do I do from here? And stuff like that. And so I think that does a tribute to him really just sometimes off the cuff, just coming out with a new idea or a new build or something like that. He's also a player that puts a lot of time into preparing for these once-a-week SSL matches, and that also comes from a lot of that practice that he does go for. So comes in with very prepared ideas, very prepared builds. But will he be prepared for this Ling rush that Solar is going for? Only 33 drones and a large number of Lings already pooled up here. So
this won't be anything super crazy, and as long as this Oracle doesn't deal critical damage, Solar should be in a pretty decent spot. We were talking about how even this matchup is. The percentages had it slightly in Solar's favor. Just plugging things into Illegal Act a little bit earlier on, they put the percentages way in Solar's favor. So did a little bit more digging, and his win rate against Deer specifically is just gigantic. Out of the last 5 times they have met, Solar's won 4 of them, and they've always been 2-1s for the most part. So, whoa, sneaks by! How does he do it? That's just the sneakiest, slipperiest Zerglings I have seen in a cool minute. They managed to get a few behind that Stalker, take it out, and terrorize the main.
Where was the Mothership Core? Where was the overcharge? Where was the block in the first place? That's the questions that even Deer himself might be asking as the Lings get a decent amount of damage. Nothing crazy, just 3 probes, but really throwing a wrench into the build of Deer. The third base is so late. Baneling Nest coming up for Solar with more and more Lings. He's going for a big attack here.
Like the Stasis Ward, it was actually thrown on the other side of the hatchery to snare the eggs so that no more production is going to be coming out of them until it wears off. And behind this, whoa, the big gateway explosion. See if even more come under construction. 5 on the way. It looks like this is how Deer wants to play it.
Well, he's got glaives already. Unfortunately, these Adepts are going to be caught out right from the beginning. That Robo is no doubt going to be for the Warp Prism to make this happen, but he's going to be running into mass Baneling, no doubt, on the side of Solar. And off the back of that, he will throw down a third base after all of those gateways go down, but still no probe production. And the Warp Prism coming up next makes me believe that he still wants to go pretty aggressive with this play.
Yeah, certainly will be with Glaives already done, as our observer is pointing out for us. It is going to be a lot of Adepts on the way. He will have the Phoenix and Oracle out there just to scout the potentials, and if he does get good scouting information, he'll see the Banelings as they are ready. But I think Solar wants to go for a little bit of a pressure behind this, not necessarily a counterattack, but pressuring up at the front. There's really just not a whole lot there. You can see the probes even trying to block, so there's less surface area. Trapping the Zerglings in with a big warp in back at home will lead to the Zerglings' untimely demise, but those Adepts are going to be much farther away from their brethren pushing forward.
Run away! Run away from the Banelings! Get out of there, you're on creep! That will never work out. You just saw it a little bit too late, especially with that reduced vision range on these Adepts, so I don't think you can. Okay, he's going for it.
It looked cool to have all of these Adepts warped in back at home to defend against the Zerglings, but everything got cleaned up, and now that they're here, it just might not be enough. It's given extra time for these Banelings to finish morphing. The Adepts do shade into the main, but they're not splitting against the Banelings, and they blow up.
There's just way too many Banelings here to deal with this. Just too much stuff for Solar. He got way too far ahead. That's going to do it. GG. What? Solar takes game number 1.
You know, that feels less like Solar winning and more like Deer running in and losing. The splitting up the Adepts just to defend back at home and shading them in one tiny group at a time. But Solar just 100% ready to deal with that. Had the Baneling Nest morphing even before the Adepts made it halfway across the map and was able to defend perfectly against that aggression.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of both, right? It was a cool idea for Solar to go for that run by. Was it supposed to do that much damage? No, obviously. But then Deer is like, oh, I'm going to try to go across the map and make this happen. And Solar's like, okay, I guess you're just feeding me 3 Adepts at a time, 3 Adepts at a time. And it's like, okay, I guess I'll just take that, macro up to 42 drones, get a 4th base, and say, well, come at me, bro. I've got mass Banelings. So Solar looking really good in game 1.
I mean, he came at him. It didn't work. Spoiler alert. Not even splitting up the Adepts either. I feel like even if you're going to be behind a little bit on your Adept numbers from splitting them up to defend back at home, you still got to spread those guys apart. Banelings, turns out, work up pretty well against pumped up units. So we learned how that worked out. You're probably going to have to try a different strategy here in game number 2, but with the fast win, Solar cruising on to game number 2. You know, the stats might have been in Solar's favor, but it looks like the gameplay, the skill level, also leaning his way.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. Number 1, or game number 1 rather, was very indicative of that fact. So let's jump into game number 2 and see what happens. Here we go, game number 2. This one is going to be on Newkirk Precinct. Down on the bottom left, this is Solar. Took a very dominant game number 1.
And here is Deer with 2 probes sent out onto the map early. I love it. What is this going to entail?
Is this going to be a cannon rush?
What harbingers could this be a portent of?
I mean, this is... If this is a cannon rush, we haven't seen this in so long.
No. This would be way out of the ordinary. Now, you know, if this were Terran, you know, you're going to build 2 buildings out there. Well, Protoss doesn't need to do that. So we have 2 probes. They're out here for a reason. But there's no forge behind this, so there's probably no cannon rush to come. Okay, and he doesn't reveal either probe. They're skirting around the vision. He's going to hide one of them off to the side. Pretend like this is the normal probe timing.
This can't just be the most elaborate scouting pattern ever, right? I don't think that would ever pay off in this manner. He's got to build something in there. He's making 2 gases to start, so it's not going to be any kind of fast expand. Where are these probes going? What's going on? Okay.
I mean, this is just one of those questions of the universe, right?
What was that second probe doing? He was like, I'm just going to follow you to make a cyber core and then go all the way back.
There's no possible way he just grabbed an extra probe. He was like controlling both of them. You know, they say, Valdez, that we are all here for a reason, right? Some of us are here to,
Yeah, some people
cast StarCraft. Some of us are here to watch StarCraft. Some of us are here to write mean comments on the internet. Everybody's got their purpose. But truly what? Truly what is the purpose for this early start? That's a lot of mining that you just lose from having that probe out there. I don't know. The world may never know. These are questions right along the line of, like, do crabs think humans walk sideways, I
haven't heard of that one, actually.
The world just may never know.
Cool idea. Is he just going to go DTs and get a pylon in the main?
That's what you do. You proxy inside the very main. The probe still hasn't
Still
discounted.
unseen. There's the pylon.
Oh my god.
That's a little bit early, though.
Is this truly?
You can make the Dark Shrine in the main with that pylon.
We're going way down that thinking brain.
He didn't see
chart.
the Nexus.
No, he just has not seen anything. There's no Nexus there. This is like one of those MC Nexus feints where you build it and then cancel it all in.
Yeah.
No, it's that. He didn't even go that far.
There it is. It's actually in the main.
What the? Okay, I can't say that on air, but the unseen Dark Shrine is in fact the deadliest.
This is the best way to
Watch
get to
him build
Solar's
a gateway
head.
in the main too for faster warp ins. That's how you do it. He hasn't even seen the natural. What a terrible time to not scout and see that there's no base.
Overlord Speed is about to finish here, but, I mean, let's be real. I think it's a little bit too late. That Dark Shrine is about halfway done. He's threatening with the Stalker. I think Solar's beginning to read a little bit into this. Like, okay, what's going on? Okay, now he knows.
Dun, dun. All of a sudden.
Like, oh, wait, no, I had a Nexus.
Oh, my God. So, if that had been down like a second early, he's going to get into the main. One Stalker. Will he kill it in time? No. The Zergling gets a full scout and sees everything that isn't there. Immediately, Spore Crawlers start going down. The Dark Shrine. It finishes just seconds too slowly.
In the main. All right, here we go. Spores are done.
Guys, get your Twitch clip buttons ready. We're about to see either the life or death of a Zerg or Protoss player. Also, watch Solar's face.
He could snipe the Spore.
He could.
That's the play.
Yeah,
he can snipe the Spore. All the queens are at the natural here.
Oh, my God.
He doesn't know there's a pylon in his back door.
Oh, my God. This is so genius. Dear, you sexy man. What a build. The Spore goes down. Another one will never be built. And there he goes. Look at that Solar face. He knows. He knows it is just too late. His main in, what did I say earlier? Shatters? That's what it is.
Yeah, it's in Shatters.
Everything will die. Oh, he's going to cancel the Spore at the third.
There's no Spore over here. He needs to surround it.
He does surround it. He's going to pull away.
He's going to give it up.
He's sacking his third. He's going to try to run it in. Can he surround the Spore? No, he's not protecting the Spore Crawler. It's GG. What a build. Big Dong June.
Who is this guy?
My man.
That was insane. Solar's like, what the hell just happened?
Oh.
What did I say? This is the perfect way to get into Solar's head. He looks mentally distraught after that one.
Where's my deer flag? I'm waving it right now. What a guy.
That's insane. I mean, we haven't seen a build that spicy in a while.
I am just, like, you could see Solar's face at the end of this. He just, like, puts his head in his hands. He's like, okay, come on.
That's an SSL challenge build, guys. That's not something you would see here, but that was crazy.
Somewhere out there, SOS is considering switching to that play style.
Oh, yeah, it's like,
maybe
that's a good build.
I could do that.
Maybe he got that one from SOS.
It's pretty sick, guys. The ladder will never be the same after today. If you guys have yet to finish off your war chest, you need to get that experience. It's a quick way to farm some XP, I'm just saying. Yeah. Oh my God, so sick. I didn't expect it to work because right there at the critical moment, Solar gets in there and he scouts that there's no expansion. It's thrown up late. The Zergling gets into the main. It
looked like he scouted the gambit. He's like, okay.
Just in time, but like you said, no queens in the main. He didn't expect the Dark Templar to come in from behind. Just like
that's why, you know, all of that effort, the elaborate scouting pattern, as I called it, which it obviously wasn't, to sneak in the second probe into the side, that was the whole crux of the build. If that doesn't get in there, then Solar has the stop at the front of the natural, and that game is over. So, Deer, it was all thought out, and as I said, I mean, this guy, he's practicing more than anyone else. That's how you get those crazy kind of builds where everything is thought out down to the T.
Down to the P as well. Well, it's not P for pylon in StarCraft 2, but down to the E. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Built
all the way
in the
down.
back of his base. No honor amongst Protoss cheeses. Getting it in, taking him out, and Solar, I think this time he's gonna scout behind the
yeah, I would hope so.
The darkness. All right, we're gonna get into game number 3, our deciding game. You took a cheeky one in game 2, but the wrath of Solar knows no bounds. Let's get into game 3. Find out who will take our final best of 3 of the night.
Here we go, the final game of the night will be on Overgrowth. Down in the bottom left, it is Solar.
All right, Solar, he's got to know that was a little bit mind-shattering there at the end, realizing the jig, as they say, was up, and it's built in the back of his base. This is Deer, and after a cheeky win in Game 2, see if he tries something here in our final game of the series.
Well, already eyes on the probe, right? Although this time I think it's just going to be a normal game.
I don't know. He's not
going directly towards the natural.
Towards the base. I don't know, Valdez.
There's a forge!
Here we go! On the way!
I can't believe he's actually doing this
in
Game 3. This is Overgrowth. It's one of the fastest maps for you to get over there.
Oh, he's not revealing the probe. All right, so you
Perfect
hide the
placement.
probe over here. We actually saw, I think it was...
Overlord is going to scout it, though. He's going to see it.
So he will see the probe, but he does scout the pylon warping in.
Immediate pull. It's only 3 drones, though. 4.
Yeah, so last night in Shoutcraft Kings, I believe it was Neve, that cheesed out a laser this way and canceled it. But he does get the right connections there. Surrounding the probe. No, he slides it through. More cannons being warped in the front. He's going to be working on these drones here as well.
It's only 1 probe over here, so you can only do so much. If you get past and Deer can't block behind the minerals with the pylon, then you can pretty much deal with this. You see it has to be canceled right at the last moment. He might finish this one to get a couple of cheeky kills, but I think he's just reaching at straws at this point. The probe almost goes down even.
Great probe control, and he's going to continue to get in here. Be cheeky.
Covers the pylon.
Look at how much lost mining time is here, but also how expensive it is for our Protoss player to keep erecting and canceling these buildings.
He's continuing to go.
This one pylon allowing for so much. He actually might even kill one of these drones with this consistent probe harass. This is the wackiest
just misses another second drone kill.
Cannon rush I have seen in a cool minute, Valdez.
He's going to cancel everything. Nice try. If he had gotten the block there, that would have been epic.
Well, back behind this, he can still do a forge fast expand kind of style. Unsuccessful cannon rush. Great scouting there by Solar. But he doesn't need cannons back at home. Yeah, that is the crucial missing part of that wall.
Solar must feel like he's playing like Silver League ladder right now. This is just so weird.
These 4 Zerglings are really just going to crush it.
Here they go. The zoom in. Get your cameras out.
Or your Twitch clips here. Pulling the probes.
He's got to pull these probes.
The shoe on the other foot, as it were. The probe's forced to be pulled now from Deer just to hang on against increasing Zergling numbers. Running in.
Zapping them. But again, always good trades here for Solar. Kills 4 of the probes. Deer is down to 18 now that Nexus is pretty late. And his tech is going to be even later as the Ling's going to continually be annoying, getting more and more kills.
Oh, bad targeting there by those probes, not hitting the weakened Zergling. Every little thing matters when you are at this deficit, when you don't have anything to fight. A Zealot is the first unit coming out here as a third base is taken from Solar. Feels good.
Yeah, and Solar's so good at this too. He's, you know, I spoke a lot about Deer's, you know, mind kind of sense when you get into a weird state in the game, but Solar is actually also one of these very scrappy Zergs that's very good at dealing with these wonky situations and microing small amounts of units under, you know, a lot of stress. Part of the reason why he was able to defeat Dark in a ZVZ best of 7 to win SSL back in the day last year. And so he's looking really comfortable in this one. We're going to have a Stargate come down. Deer's down about 20 supply already. And yeah, it's pretty obvious at this point that Deer is behind. We'll see if he can actually come back in this game.
He is certainly behind. If he can stabilize on 2 bases, reboot his economy, and try to maybe go for secondary all-in, probably not. Macro up off of second base and get to his fast third without it being taken out, also not likely. He is going into Stargate, though, so the potential to get a bunch of economic damage there if you get some oracles where they shouldn't be. But Solar is going to be out on the map, scouting vigilantly with all these Zerglings, seeing that not only is there no third, there's just not a whole lot here for Deer.
And he gets to scout on the Stargate, too, so he knows 100% what's going on, even sees the Void Ray making. He's like, okay, I mean, what are you going to do with that Void Ray, man? Kill one Overlord? Good luck with that.
The Sentry, noblest of defenders, here to try to defend against these Zerglings at the front door. That's how you do it. 3 Spore Crawlers coming up and behind this. Solar just going to make his defense airtight until he finds out there's a pylon in his base. No,
well,
I'm just kidding. Not there anymore.
Until he finds out there's a second Stargate on the way.
Dun, dun.
If there's a game for you to try to sneak one when you're way far behind, it's going for a build that's relatively new. I mean, it's not super new anymore, but it's one of the newest builds we have, and some Zergs are having a lot of trouble with it. So if you want to try to sneak one away, I mean, instead of just playing a straight-up game, maybe you just go for a bunch of Stargates and make a bunch of Oracles and hope that your opponent doesn't know how to deal with it.
I feel like Deer should have sent his Void Ray all the way to the corner. You know there's an Overlord hiding there, waiting to get speed and come in and scout. As is, Solar would still get this scout anyway with the amount of Zerglings out on the map.
Yeah, I think he wanted to keep it at the third base just to make sure that it didn't get canceled. That's a very important third base at this point in time.
Very true.
It does have a couple of Oracles on the way, though. Might have been able to defend with those. Did decide to send it over to the third base instead.
I would say almost mostly just for scouting there from the Oracle. If he throws down like a third Stargate, that's what I thought was going to happen. We were just going to see Oracle memes for an attempt at getting through this. He's going to go for a few overcharges. Needs to hit the right pylons there, and yeah, it does target the high health one to push some of these Zerglings back away. Actually losing quite a few after trying to pressure there, even with 2 Oracles out. 3 now. Dun, dun. This should start to trigger some warning signs.
More spores. He knows about it now. He's 100% sure.
Spire almost about to complete, and it will. So that should signal yet 9 Mutalisks on the way.
No upgrade, actually. Decides to just make as many Mutas as quickly as possible. Decides the strength in numbers is going to be more relevant as soon as possible. Does go for the Carapace after. And if he can get on top of those Oracles, it's essentially GG with this kind of play.
There's that third Stargate. Now, it's always interesting to see innovators versus imitators. When you are making a new build, you're trying it out. And more importantly than the games that you win are the games that you lose that you then refine your build for and say, okay, well, these are the check boxes I need to have. Now, for Deer, if he's seen this triple Stargate play before, he knows that, okay, well, you build a bunch of Oracles and you kill the Zerg. Well, the difference, I feel, is that this is a Zerg that had a super strong early game after defending that push, and a lot of times you see Mass Phoenix behind this, but they're not going to come in time. Solar takes the win. The 2-1, he avenges the DT memes in Game 2 and comes back with a few of his own. The Mutalisks take the win in Game 3.
Yeah, I mean, Deer, he was just pretty desperate at that point. He's like, okay, maybe I can get over there and kill everything with my 5 oracles. Not the case.
If he had instead of built those oracles, gone for Mass Phoenix instead, maybe there's a way that you just fit that counter puzzle piece into the mutas, take them all out, and then you're like, oh, well, wow, he held this, and then you have a bunch of Phoenix, you go and lift some drones, pick up some harass.
Yeah,
but no.
It would have been, the sickest pro gamer sense in a way, where it's like, okay, I think he's going to counter this with Spire, so let me be one step ahead of him and get the Phoenixes. And if you can shut down the Muta tech like 100% and take no damage, then maybe Deer would still be behind, but he might be able to come back and win that one. But
what a way to close out our day today, Valdez.
That was Deer just offering the super exciting games. I mean, after he got crushed in Game 1, I don't blame him for trying to do that really kind of wonky play where he was going for all the meme builds, the DTs in the main, the Forge, the Cannon Rush that we were like, is he really going to do this in Game 2? Actually did it in Game 3. Yeah. Just didn't really work out.
Right. I feel like if there's any time to send 2 probes out, it's probably that last game just to make sure that you can get your cannons and your pylons up where you need to. Great scouting there by Solar. I feel like at that point, Deer kind of tipped his hand, and Solar's just like, okay, I'll scout everywhere, and he finds the pylons coming up.
It was like the opposite effect of, I thought maybe Solar would be really kind of devastated after losing to a build like that in Game 2, but actually just strengthened him where he was like, no, I'm just going to make sure that I don't die to any cheese, and so the scouting was there, and he just shut it totally down. Not going to have any interviews today.
No,
I don't believe
interviews.
so.
Not just yet. We've still got 2 more days of SSL Premiere coming up. That's what you all have to look forward to. I think Wolf will also be away for next week as well. So that'll be the next SSL broadcast will be SSL Challenge coming your way on Saturday evening, KST. And then coming back again for SSL Premiere next week. Now, that's all the StarCraft 2 action. And to recap the action from today, we had Classic taking a 2-0 win against Alive, Innovation 2-0ing Biol, and then Stats and Hero just really mixing it up. Really solid series. Stats takes the 2-1. Dark 2-0ing Maru, and then 2-1 there for Solar to end off our day with a victory over Deer.
Yeah, we knew that one was going to be incredibly close. We didn't think it was going to be with the builds that we saw in that series. Definitely was a lot of fun. An explosive one to cast to end the night was definitely very entertaining. So,
what a way to finish things off. This is a look at today's games. Now, coming up, we'll be showing you our upcoming games. It'll be from SSL Challenge and SSL Premiere. Of course, lots and lots of StarCraft coming up. And of course, here are the standings for how everything shakes up. Stats still way up on top.
Yeah, after Dark was able to win, he goes up to 5-2. Classic and Deer, though, they are sitting down at 5-2 now. I think Classic won his game, but Deer lost, so they're both at 5-2. So yeah, Stats alone at the top. Innovation knocking at the door, trying to make it into the top 4.
Certainly is. Yeah, I feel like this is the graph we showed at the beginning of today, not at the end.
Well, I mean, this does have the updated rankings coming into this one, so.
Well, either way, this is where things stand. I can't believe Stats has made almost $4,000 here just off of playing his games normally in the league. So, got to get that money out there. Even Biol has yet to win a series. He's already up there around 2 million won. So, here's a look at our next matches. Challenge, Patience SOS, Byun, Zest, Jakshi, Bunny, and Hush and Impact closing things out.
Yeah, and then the premier matches are going to be Bill versus Alive, Classic versus Hero, Maru versus Stats, Deer versus Dark, and then Solar versus Innovation.
That's going to do it for our SSL matchups. Don't forget that the GSL also starts up this week. It'll be Brennan and I for that as well. So really,
all the other
excited.
Casters are slacking.
I tell you, man, we're keeping esports alive one day at a time. So I hope you all enjoyed the games tonight. If you have any feedback for Brendan or I, just because we will be out there so much, feel free to let us know on Twitter at RapidCasting and at Brendan Valdez. We'd love to hear what you have to say about today's games. almost tomorrow's games, but any of the games this week. Let us know what you're excited for. Also, that's it for StarCraft 2 news, but today is actually a monumental day. August 14th marks the launch of StarCraft Remastered globally. So there will be a super sick launch event. Been seeing a lot of pictures tweeted of some of the best pro foreign Brood War players coming together in California. There will be a really cool launch event for that that should be aired right before the launch actually starts. It'll be on Day 9 TV. The Plot Brothers will be reunited at last. There's going to be a lot going on there. So don't forget to watch the launch. It'll be a 2-day event of StarCraft Remastered, as well as tuning in for SSL Premier, SSL Challenge, and GSL, all starting up again this week. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of Brendan and I, have a great evening.